All right. It's February. So that means the best thing we can do right now is go hammer some nest raiders, coons, possums. Unfortunately, with it being early February like this, skunk rut's going on, so you will be around my area. We will be dealing with some of that. My main go-to is the old obvious DP. Breech dog proof. Got a few dozen of them. These are obviously still nasty from last year, so I got to do a little bit of cleaning on them just with a wire brush. I don't ever wash them. I just hit them with a wire brush. They even still smell like cat food. Keep them in a milk crate. You can fit about 2 dozen in here without getting too much of a mess. I mean, the first time you pull them out of the year, the wires are going to be like this right here. So you're going to have to spend some time separating that. Now, the most important part of a DP, in my opinion, is these little guys right here. Coon grabbers. What this is it's like a little rubber thing with 4 studs, we'll call them. All right, we'll call them what they are, they're nipples. What this does though, is underneath your trigger at the bottom, you work this, kind of push your trigger to the side if you can, like that. And you're gonna stick this thing down in the bottom, underneath the trigger. And you're gonna orient it, it's flat on the bottom. You're gonna orient it so that the trigger slides down right in between those 4 nipples. Now, I don't know if y'all can see down in there or not. Here's my trigger right there, and it is laying on top of this thing. What that is, these are shellfish scented. They make, I don't know how many different kinds. I generally stick with shellfish or anise, but they've got like grape ones, I think, all kind of stuff. That goes in the bottom. It smells like a doggone shellfish. I don't think the scent matters. I think it's more of a feel thing for them. But what happens is they can, if you don't have this dog set properly in this trigger, if you've got it way down deep in there, those coons can reach in there and pick out your bait, which I use just strictly dry cat food. Cheap stuff. I do get the, excuse me, I got a burp. Forget it, doesn't matter. I use strictly cheap cat food, dry cat food. Generally speaking, I just go with the ship to shore, or whatever they want to call it, the seafood flavor. Don't think it makes a difference, but that's just what I go with. It's like $4.50 for a bag at Walmart or Dollar General or grocery store, wherever you want to go. Under $5, and you can, I mean, you can, one bag, you can run a full weekend, 4 dozen traps. All you need is to put about half of that, fill half of that tube up with the cat food, sprinkle a little bit around it. I also like to use, you know, Hershey's syrup comes in a bottle. They also make a, for like making chocolate milk, they also make a strawberry flavor. I love to put a little bit of that around the trap. Never put it on it because that stuff's sticky. That's why I don't use, like, sardines are good baits, but good God, you talk about funky. Your traps will be disgusting. And that dry cat food works just as good. All you need is for that coon to get close to this. Put it in the middle of a trail. I'll show you all that, how I set and all that. But if they get close to this, they're greedy little animals. So they're gonna sit here until this is empty, more than likely, unless something runs them off. So yeah, but what that is in the bottom is a tactile, something for them to grab onto. And when they grab a hold of one of those studs on there and pull up, you got them. These things are so cheap. They come in a pack of 12. I think they're like, I don't remember. These are from last year. I want to say they're under $10, I believe. Like $8 maybe for a pack of 12. And they don't go bad. I've still got some in here from last year. Now, obviously they don't smell much, but like I said, I don't think it's the smell that really gets them, I think, because I catch them time and time again from years past, coon grabbers still in the trap, and they work just fine. They do deteriorate over time because they are a scented, like, I don't even know what the material is. It's not rubber and it's not latex. It's some kind of really soft, but still pretty tough material. it's impregnated with scent. So that being said, that's how I do it. You will have, your catch ratio will go up significantly if you start using these. I swear by them. I love them. You can get them. Imagine you can go on Google and type in coon grabber, but I get mine from F&T fur harvesters online. It's usually there within a week. You know, you order it on this weekend, it'll be there by next weekend most of the time. I've never had anything more than a week. Usually it's like 3 to 5 days, but 35 business days. Anyways, I'm gonna get these separated. We're gonna go set a few. Today is the perfect time to set traps. We're coming off 2 days straight of rain. It's the first decent day we've had. It's still a little cloudy, but there's intermittent sunshine. And yeah, got a full bag of cat food. Got my coon grabbers, got my traps. Let's go see if we can't find some coon trails. I know some general areas we can set them. I'm not gonna set a full line tonight. This is just basically how I like to do it. And then we'll set probably half a dozen, come back tomorrow and see what we got. See y'all out there. Okay, got 5. I'm running through making sure that all got grabbers in them. I'm gonna show you how easy this is. Bring your trigger up and to the side, just like that. Stick that bad boy down in there. Just work it around that trigger. Turn it sideways to where the flat side is down, obviously. And she's ready to go. I don't know if you can see in there or not. Probably not, but it's in there. All right. We've got our 6 traps. This is a short line right here that I like to run. On a good night, I'll get 2 coons, maybe a possum, simply because I keep this spot very up to date as far as coons are concerned. So I trap this about every 6 months or so. I'll run a line a couple nights, clean it out, and yeah, this is a spot that I love to turkey hunt. So it's a little public piece right here, and I like to keep it up to date. So here we go. Traps, got bait, got my grabbers, and we're good to go. A fishing pole, by the way. All right. Come on, girl. Don't be like that. Don't treat me like that. Running out of daylight. Coons are probably already starting to stir. This particular spot is just a good fence crossing right here. These coons coming off this toe of this ridge right here coming down. There's a little faint trail right there, but it's not as significant. But if I set on that T-post right there, I can stretch it out and basically catch both, especially with a north wind coming this way. It'll blow that scent from that bait right in there on top of them, if anything comes this way. So let me situate my coon grabber, make sure it's right. Stick that bad boy right in there like that. Beautiful. Oh, I didn't see it. This would be a good situation for a drag. I use drags a lot. If you don't, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna set it right over there on that cedar. If you don't know what a drag is, it's basically like a grappling hook. And you get you some chain, I run about 10 to 12 feet of chain, especially for coats. I like the longer the better. But that drag, basically you can set it anywhere you want, so that when that coon or coat or whatever comes in, you're not staked out. I do not trust stakes, especially in muddy ground like we have right now. We're coming off of, I don't know if I said this already or not, but we're coming off of 2 days straight of bad rain, and we've got a clear day now. I'm gonna throw a little bit of food out across this trail, and When it's really soft, as a standard 18-inch steak, a coon can work it enough that he can pull it out of the ground. Then you've got a manhunt. You've either got a manhunt or a lost trap. So I prefer drags. You can buy them, they're cheap. I mean, I use Duke 2-claw drags. I think they're like $3 a piece. Last forever. You cannot destroy them. I mean, I've pulled trucks out of the mud with them before. Yeah, set that, and then you just chunk it somewhere, because as thick as the cover is, they're not going to go far before that drag hangs up on something. Like I say, it's just like a grappling hook. This trail right here. I'm gonna put 2 down here in this creek. The water's still up from all that rain we got. Those tracks. That is a groundhog. Must be a hole right here. And there's cut bank. Yep, there's a hole right there. Sucker's probably in there. One good spot to check on these creek banks like this. This is a beautiful spot because you've got a ridge coming down right here, right up to the bank of the creek. So it's a massive intersection for the coons. I prefer to trap that side, but I know with that water being like it is right now, that water's rolling. It's going to be too deep for my hip boots. By the way, if you don't have a pair of Sheen hip boots, I strongly suggest them. I mean, they're a little pricey, you know, 300 bucks for a pair, but Sheen, excuse me, not Sheen, they come with a lifetime warranty. So if you ever tear them up, start leaking, send them back, they either repair them or get you some more. Love them, absolutely love them. All right, I gotta figure something out. This water's too high to get down there. I would like to be, when this water is down at normal pool, it's like ankle deep, maybe mid shin deep, with the exception of the holes like this. You can work around it. I'm gonna go to this old bridge up here and probably set a gang set over there on that bridge. Yeah, I'll do that. I want to set one right here, but need to wait till this water falls out. There's a little bit of a trail going up that bank right there. Now that side of the creek over there is major highway. I can see a trail from there, from here, running that bank right there. Enough stalling. Let's go put them out. We'll hit it when the water falls out. All right, this is the first spot. Like I said, this is just, I'm just showing you how I like to break a piece of property apart to really figure out where to start. Basically, this right here, there's a big bluff right here in front of us. It's about a 40-foot drop on the other side. Drops into a bottom down here, big creek bottom. You've got a lot of big trees back this way, a lot of big den trees. So what I like to do is set one right here on this little sapling. This is a perfect funnel. You've got drop off over here, drop off over here, and those coons that come from back this way where there's barns, houses, stuff like that back in there. They come this way in the evenings. Mostly females and family groups. What you typically find is that your males run these ridge tops. So this is a really good spot to catch a big male running this bluff back here. I'm gonna set one right here, and then I'm gonna set one right on that bluff. I guarantee you there's a trail running the top of that bluff. There always is. Ridge lines, bluff tops like this. So I haven't been over there yet this year, but every year there's one running there. So we'll see what happens. Oh, by the way, I add these cables. Go to your hardware store, get some cable crimps, Cut you about a 6-foot piece, 7-foot piece of, I think that's 1/8 inch cable. It doesn't have to be that big, but it keeps it from crimping up as bad as the smaller cable. As you can see, it's been wrapped a couple times, but you do it once with a good cable and you never have to do it again, or at least a long time. So run that over like that, cinch it down, take your DP, squeeze it, throw your dog, put it in the trigger just like that, about halfway. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's not fully, I don't set it all the way down in there because I don't want it to be that deep. It takes a lot more for them to trip it like that. But if you cut it on half, then it pops right out. So all it takes is a little tug if you set it about halfway, just like that. Well, you can't go too light, just keep messing with it until you get the right feel where it needs to be, right there. All right, I'm gonna set this sucker way out here. You don't have to decoy them, or disguise them, excuse me. Out here, leave your cable. Coons love shiny stuff. That's why I like those silver cable crimps, aluminum. I'm gonna put a little bit of feed in there. Some of the Dollar General special. A little bit around it, and this one will be set. About half a handful. Going right in there, like that. A little bit around it. Not much. On to the next one. Let's see. This should be around the very top of it. Yep. Same old trail right there here. I don't know if you can see that or not. There's a definite small game trail right there coming down. This is perfect. Now, one thing I'll say is you can see right here, there's an old fence line, some barbed wire. That would be a perfect tree to sit on. The problem is that as soon as you catch that coon, this cable's long enough, he's gonna go wrap himself up. So what I'm gonna do is come down here a little ways. See, this might be the same deal. And there's another trail coming right down this bluff right here. You can see how tall this bluff is. I mean, it's way up here. We might be able to get away with it right here. And see, that trail runs right down around the edge of that giant red oak right there. I actually never noticed that persimmon right there. Anyways, I think I'm gonna sit right here. I'm gonna check it to make sure it's not gonna be too close to that cable. And there are some greenbrier, but that's not gonna make a difference. It's gonna be close. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm gonna set this cable up higher around some of these knots, and that's gonna make it a lot shorter. But I am gonna extend it all the way so that it doesn't lose tension. There we go. Right there like that. Move that around. And bait. Put it right in the trail. Put your traps directly in the trail. Make those coons have to go around it. Because I promise you, the only time they're going to leave the den is when they're hungry. First thing they come across is easy. They're going to sit there and pig out on it. Alright. We're going to drop down the creek now and go after some family groups. These are basically, well, they could catch anything, but I like to set a couple ridge tops, obvious spots for the big males. So the female can't get bred if there ain't no male. On to the next. All right, this is a very obvious one. This is basically, got the bridge right here to our left. We set that last trap up there about 40-50 yards. I'm gonna hit this right here. It necks down into a little bitty draw I guess you would call it, in this. The creek bank's right here in front of us, and there's an opening right here behind us, some thicker stuff, and here's the extension of that trail. Very obvious spot, but we'll take it when we can get it. Extend that out all the way to the middle of that trail, just like that. A bit of bait. Handful. Drop it right down in there, like that. I think I'm gonna set this next one. I'm gonna walk with this thing. See, this is the end of this fence right here, and I have no doubt. Oh yeah, there's tracks right there from since last night. Under these bridges are excellent spots. The best thing about under a bridge like that is they don't get any rain, so you can see tracks. Now, how fresh those tracks are is the question. But this little drainage right here looks good. I don't see anything though, and there's really no reason for them to go that way when all the food and stuff's back here. So I'll wait on this, and I'll just double set right down here. This mud is so sticky. See that log right there? That's an excellent thing to cinch your DP off to, because that's way too much for a coon to drag. That thing's solid. I think I'm gonna set one more right here, either there or there. You don't want, like, obviously it would be awesome to set one on that post right there, but that wire is an issue, dude. I'm telling you, don't do it. Don't take the bait. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with my lava plan. Where'd my other trap go? There it goes. Do I do that, or do I do it to this root right here? That's not gonna stay. I really like the idea of this one more. This one's bigger. I'm gonna go under this one. Just, if you're gonna use a log, make sure and choke it enough, high enough away from the end that they can't possibly. Let me see if I can drag it. Come on. Oh. Make sure they can't drag that. Just comes more. Yeah, we'll do that. Set that sucker in the ground. Just like that. Remember, set them at an angle. Make it as easy as possible for that coon to get in there. A little bait on it. And this one we will throw a little bit out on the trail, just to help guide him a little bit. That's a wrap. 6 traps. Took about 15 minutes to set. Easy spot. Check them in the morning for work. We'll see what happens. It's February, baby. It's time to start whacking some fur. See y'all in the morning. All right. Last night was almost best case scenario. We ended up with 1. Best case scenario would be 0. I came through this morning before work and ran it real quick to check everything. Ended up with this 1 right here. Of course, my GoPro battery was dead because it was 27 degrees and I left my GoPro in the truck all night. So hopefully GoPro can figure this out at some point in the near future. But yeah, you can see this was our fence crossing right here with the end of this ridge. Pretty standard, perfect scenario for catching coons. Also, as I was going to check, is down here at the bottom by the creek, I came across this log and noticed this right here, right there, and it was fresh this morning. So I don't know if it was a pair of them, a couple of them, or if that was him and he was on his way back up to go back to den this morning. But he was very fresh when I got here this morning, as far as like very green on the trap. You know, he was very alive. So I don't know. That being said, I'm gonna remake this. I freshened up all the bait. Nothing got touched. Nothing had any fresh tracks around it this morning when I checked. But it was also, like I said, in the 20s last night. I had a feeling they would move after being denned up for 2 days with the torrential downpours we've had for 2 days straight. I thought maybe, even though it's cold, because they also den up when it's super cold. But anyways, that being said, I'm gonna rebaited everything. I'm gonna remake this set, and we're gonna let them run one more night. Ideally, we'll come back tomorrow and not have anything. So yeah, that is a quick run through on how I like to run coon sets. And you can be absolutely, what's the word I'm looking for? Efficient using them, running them like this. You can gang set them around feeders, of course, and you're gonna pick off 2, 3, maybe 4 before they get very smart and figure out that game real quick. So my what I recommend is to run your sets around your feeders, 1 or 2 maybe max. Don't gang set them like 4 or 5, half dozen, because they're gonna figure that out real quick. If they see one coon get caught by one of these, it doesn't throw up a red flag as bad as it does if they see 2 or 3 of them in it. Then they really kind of put 2 and 2 together, because, as you know, dumb as they are, they're not completely stupid. So that being said, set 2 around your feeders, but set the majority of them on the trails leading in and out of the feeder. You can kind of mitigate a lot of that education that way. So do that, and then once if you've caught several out from around your feeders using the DPs, and you're still getting pictures of some from that time, well, then we got to go into more advanced tactics with number 1.5s and footholds, setting blind sets, mafia sets on trails, stuff like that. We got to get real creative, and that's another step that I'd love to show y'all later on. But for right now, we are, like I said, I like to set these triggers pretty shallow on that dog if you can get away with it. The best thing you can do though is that trigger right there, take a file and knock off that coat of paint. I don't know if y'all can even see that. That's the trigger. This is your dog. If you can take a file and get right in there where that dog right there, your rod that goes into your trigger, if you can file that off, it'll give it a little bit more to grab onto, because that layer of paint is pretty slick. So do that, and things will be much better for you. You can set your triggers a lot lighter to where it's almost like those coons can just touch it and it'll fire. Very simple procedure. Doesn't take a lot of effort, doesn't take a lot of time, unless you're running big long lines, you know. I didn't even look to see if I still had a grabber in there, but I think I did. Anyways, on to the next one. I talk too much to myself. Here we go. Old boar. Good size one too. He's about probably 12, 15 pounds. 10, 12 pounds. All right, we'll run them again in the morning. We're gonna rabbit hunt first thing at daylight. down the road, and then we're gonna come back here and run them. Ideally, we'll have nothing, but you never know. See y'all in the morning. All right, guys. Listen, don't go scorched earth on these animals. We're not trying to kill every cone that moves in or around our property. What you need to focus on, in my opinion, and I'm probably wrong for this, but it's just the way that I've kind of worked everything over the years, and it's worked out best for me. Seeing an explosion in turkey numbers on the properties that I trap is find your good brooding habitat. For in this particular instance, it's on top of the hill. Now, I like to focus on this creek bottom riparian areas because that's where generally most of your coon traffic is. You'll still have some up on top on the ridges, but like I told you earlier, those are generally those high ridges are for high water levels, and your boar coons. Generally speaking, your sows and cubs, or whatever a small raccoon's called, I don't even remember, are generally going to focus on the low-lying areas down along the creek. So identify your good brooding spots, and then focus your efforts within everything 500 yards, you know, around that particular area. You don't have to set traps everywhere across your whole property. Now, when you run into issues when you got, say you're on a club, 2,000, 5,000 acre club, and the majority of it, which we see here in the South a lot, is pine plantations, big warehouse or timber company, Westervelt, whatever. The best thing you can do in those situations is obvious. It's so much easier to trap those than it is these big open river bottoms like this, where you've got broken properties and there's a pasture over here, there's thicket over here, and all that kind of stuff. Those, find your creek bottoms, run the roads, hit your intersections on the roads, especially the ones close to those bottoms where the ditches of the creeks are, because that's where your coons are generally going to hang out. Your hens are going to nest in the pine thicket itself. But those raccoons during nesting season, I don't know if they know it or they just do a lot more roaming then that time of year looking for fresh food, but they will branch out further. So yeah, run your roads, especially riding. If you've got a four-wheeler side by side, trapping off an e-bike or a truck would be perfect, obviously. But whatever you've got, cruise slow. Check those small trails coming across the road. Every time you see one, stick a DP in it for 2 nights and run along. Don't forget to pin your traps too, because you will forget, especially when you run line for like 2 weeks straight and you're constantly giving this trap 2 days, moving it to another. I mean, you'll lose every bit of it. Put a pin on every trap, delete it when you pull it, and drop it when you put a new one. So, getting over the flu. All right, guys, that's we'll check again in the morning, and hopefully we don't catch anything. See you. All right, so ran the traps one more day, ended up with 1 possum. Didn't have the camera. I don't know what the deal is, but this cold weather and these batteries for this GoPro, they don't like it. Once they hit like 50%, they show low battery and they shut off. So I had to recharge everything. But yeah, that's pretty much a basic run through and how I like to run a coon, possum, skunk line. Get rid of some nest predators. So get out there. It is the 16th, 15th, something like that. Yeah, you got 4 weeks left till Mississippi season starts. So get out there and whack them. Give those hens a chance. We'll see y'all in turkey season.